Hello, everyone. It's a Wednesday, so we're doing a candle in the wind recording where my thoughts on a situation are the candle and your potential pushback is the wind. And usually I reserve this for more philosophical, should we not kind of topics. But today I want to dive deeper into the pop culture ecosystem, given that there isn't a time lapse visual to keep your eyes engaged at least. Okay, so I'd been bouncing like around several topics throughout the week, but this one hit me like a strike of lightning last night. So today, which is the 22nd of October 2025, what I'm doing is I am making the case for Tyler being the voice of the 2020s. Okay, so before I even continue, what do I even mean by the voice of a decade? So, you know how subconsciously we think about a single artist or sometimes a pair of artists representing the powerhouse vocals of a given decade. Like how when you think of the 60s powerhouse vocals, your mind almost always goes to Aretha Franklin. Similarly, you'd probably think about Donna Summer for the 1970s, Whitney Houston for the 1980s, Mariah Carey for the 1990s, Christina Aguilera for the 2000s, and Ariana Grande for the 2010s. So the 2020s hasn't had its clear answer yet, okay? And we can say that by 2015, it wasn't exactly too clear that the answer for the 2010s would be Ariana, because by 2015, she'd only had two albums in the mainstream and her more vocal intensive and iconic hits didn't come out until later in the decade. So only tracks before 2015 that come to mind with a bit of challenging vocals from Ariana are maybe Problem, because of the crescendo on the bridge and the way, because of the whistle notes at the end. So, but with 2018, or rather 2016, the likes of Dangerous Woman, Into You, and Side to Side, all of which they feature dangerously loud belts, pun intended. So, they saw the light of day and only made a stronger case for her being the answer to the voice of the decade question. She always solidified her case with Sweetener and Thank You Next, the former of which I actually mentioned in my five albums great with great vocals recording, funny enough. So I get that 2025 is still too early to judge, but you can guess that the artists should have already made their mainstream debut by now, as the decade is only 4 years left after this year. 4 years is still a lot for an artist to make an impact though. So how did I arrive at Tyler? Well, I started thinking about this topic when I came across a reel showcasing different powerhouse vocalists over the decades. And for the longest time, my brain kept going to artists in the new school R&B space like SZA. But while SZA can sing very well, she's had an unfortunate reputation from what I gather online for being over-reliant on vocal assistants, okay? So she does know how to chew up a performance overall. But so take the likes of Low, Blind, BMF, and 30 for 30, for example. But when it comes to actual singing, that hasn't been her most explored option, it seems. So I do believe she is able to sing very well. It's just that vocals just isn't the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about her, I suppose. And before you start screaming for the likes of Beyonce, who has laid out some intense vocal work this decade, I'm narrowing my focus to artists who blew up later last decade or earlier this decade. Okay, so Thames also came to mind. She has a great voice, but hasn't done some of the gymnastics that's expected from the supposed voice of the decade. But with the ability to sing metric, right, Thames does score very high. I also thought of Money Long, who's an excellent singer and also does the vocal gymnastics quite well, but hasn't really had a big mainstream moment, it seems. Yes, I know she's literally had at least 3 mega viral hits on social media, but I'm talking beyond that. Coco Jones also comes to mind. Great voice texture, great vocal gymnastics, but not so mainstream just yet. Then lastly, I mentally kind of settled on Chaperone. Good Luck Babe was a great performance. She's also had some other strong performances, like her works on tracks like The Subway and Pink Pony Club. She's highlighting also an uncommon vocal technique, that being yodeling. So she effectively became the unofficial answer. But while walking last night, a melody floated into my ear, okay? I don't know if you've seen The Little Mermaid from the 1980s, but there is a scene where the octopus lady uses the redhead mermaid's voice to enthrall the prince. So yeah, this was me last night. I was the prince. My music streaming service was the octopus lady, and Tyla was the redhead mermaid. I'm tempted to risk copyright infringement just to make my case on how enchanting her voice is, but I want to highlight parts of her songs that make me feel like Tyler beats, or she best answers the voice of the decade question so far. So take, for example, the post-chorus on Priorities from her debut album. Tracks like Water and ART also feature good performances. To Last also features very nice vocals despite aiming for more, like a more dance floor feel. And honestly, there are too many pleasant vocal performances from her to count. Her entire debut album is packed with good performances, so go listen to it if you haven't already. So for me, Tyler checks the right boxes really. For starters, her mainstream debut was just in 2023. She's excellent at vocal gymnastics. For the few performances I've seen of hers, her mic is always on. At times, she even sounds better live, which is a compliment the likes of Ariana Grande gets a lot. And with her unique touch, while it's not vocal, she's a key player in bringing the likes of Amapiano to the global front. So the only thing needlessly holding her back, needlessly holding back her mainstream appeal is the United States audience, it seems. The music quality is there, but it's not just taking off in the US. Many will attribute that to comments about her racial identity. Some will say that the music simply isn't hitting the sweet spot with the US and other countries in what's considered the West. And tragically, these audiences matter in terms of making a true icon. Okay, so in Africa, these discussions tend to be more national than continental. However, from what I can see from South African chart data, her music doesn't seem to be doing the best there either. So she's effectively not too liked globally, maybe. Who's to say though? In my opinion, I think it's a marketing issue. Going the R&B adjacent route with the debut album was a horrible move, in my opinion. The album is primarily pop with hints of Afrobeats. Very few tracks from it have anything to do with R&B. And if the headlines I saw were anything to go by, they tried submitting the album last year to the Best R&B Album category, but it was moved to Best Pop Vocal Album, rightfully so. But I still see the potential. In fact, it's beyond potential now because the talent is there. the music is slapping, bro. So it just needs to be presented better, I suppose. But yeah, this is just me making my case that the voice of this decade should be Tyla. But if we're going with who's currently sitting properly in the mainstream and best fits these metrics, my guess would be Chaperone. So, yep, that's my candle this week. As you recall from Monday's recording, I'm doing a lot of off-camera work this week, so I won't be able to film my usual kind of time-lapse recordings. If you did see the visual, I genuinely hope you enjoyed it. Otherwise, if you just listened, then okay, what are your thoughts? What is your wind to my candle? And am I reaching, as they say, right, with proclaiming Tyla, the voice of the 2020s? Do well to let me know. If you do agree with the take, please let me know as well. And also, let me know if you like this. Thank you for watching, or rather listening now. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.